One of the biggest challenges facing the chip industry today is the shortage of rare gases that are essential for chip production. These gases include neon, xenon, and krypton, which are used to create powerful lasers that etch microscopic circuits onto silicon wafers. Without these gases, chip makers cannot produce the advanced chips that power everything from smartphones to cars to satellites. But where do these rare gases come from? And why are they so scarce and expensive? The answer lies in the geopolitical turmoil that erupted in February 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine and threatened to disrupt the supply chain of these vital resources. Ukraine is a major source of rare gases for the global chip industry. According to some estimates, Ukraine supplies about 50% of the world's neon gas, 40% of the global supply of krypton, and a significant amount of xenon. These gases are mainly byproducts of Russia's steel industry, which produces large amounts of crude gas that is then purified and processed in Ukraine's facilities. Ukraine then exports these gases to other countries, especially China, which is the largest consumer of rare gases for its booming semiconductor sector. However, when Russia launched its military offensive against Ukraine in February 2022, it also imposed export restrictions on rare gases to unfriendly countries, such as the US and its allies. This created a severe shortage of these gases in the global market, as well as a surge in prices. For example, neon gas prices grew tenfold and krypton gas prices rose by almost half since the conflict began. Chip makers around the world scrambled to find alternative sources of rare gases, but faced difficulties due to the limited availability and high transportation costs of these gases. The rare gas crisis added to the existing challenges that the chip industry was facing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which had already caused supply bottlenecks, component shortages, delivery delays, and rising material costs for chip makers and their customers. Many companies, such as car makers, had to reduce or halt their production due to the lack of chips. Some analysts predicted that the chip shortage would persist into 2023 or beyond. The rare gas crisis also highlighted the vulnerability and dependence of the chip industry on a few countries and regions for its raw materials and components. It exposed the need for more diversification and resilience in the chip supply chain, as well as more investment and innovation in chip production technologies. Some chip makers have already started to develop new ways to reduce their reliance on rare gases, such as using alternative lasers or improving their efficiency. Some governments have also taken steps to support their domestic chip industries and secure their access to rare gases and other critical materials. The rare gas crisis is a wake-up call for the chip industry and its stakeholders. It shows how a geopolitical conflict can have far-reaching consequences for a vital sector that underpins the modern economy and society. It also shows how important it is for the chip industry to adapt and evolve in a changing and uncertain world. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has added more pressure to the already strained global chip supply chain. Some chip makers and trading houses have been stockpiling raw materials and diversifying their procurement to mitigate the impact of the war, but prices of some gases have risen sharply and shortages persist. One of the key raw materials that is at risk is neon gas, which is essential for chip production. Neon gas is a byproduct of Russia's steel industry that is purified in Ukraine, which supplies about 50% of the world's neon gas. When Russia invaded Crimea in 2014, neon prices shot up by at least 600%. Since then, companies have developed new technologies, diversified sources of neon gas, and beefed up reserves. But the current invasion has triggered another surge in demand and prices. Another rare gas that is used in semiconductor production is krypton, which also comes mainly from Ukraine. The price of Krypton has risen from 200 to 300 yen, $1.73 to $2.59 per liter, to nearly 1,000 yen, $8.64 per liter by the end of January. Xenon, another industrial gas that is used in chip making, is also facing shortages and price hikes. The supply chain disruption caused by the war could affect not only chip makers, but also their customers, such as car makers, smartphone makers, and other electronics manufacturers. The chip shortage has already led to production delays, higher costs, and lower profits for many companies around the world. The chip industry, which relies heavily on imports of chips and raw materials, could be especially hit by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Some chip makers have said they expected limited supply chain disruption for now, thanks to their stockpiling and diversified procurement strategies. However, the situation remains uncertain and volatile, as the war could escalate further and trigger more sanctions and countermeasures from both sides. The global chip supply chain, which is already facing pandemic-related challenges, could face more difficulties and risks in the near future.